Shout out Pablo in China, for sure.
Spilled some water. Am I gonna be able to sink? Get this over here. I'm sinking into this couch, dude.
So feel nice. All right, Angel, don't fuck up.
Yeah, and then just keep it like a fist's width away from your mouth. Right here.
What up?
You got your dukes up. 10-4 on the couch. House reveal.
Yeah.
This is a house reveal. Nobody's seen this part of our house.
Here we are.
Yep.
Coffee table on the couch.
With chair,
Big
tripod. Yeah.
Got the dog.
Big budget studio.
Austin plays Fortnite on the TV behind the camera.
Live streams coming soon. Don't sleep.
Support that. Don't support video gaming. Get out on your scooter.
The nighttime.
You can see the age
nighttime
gap.
Fortnite.
Dating myself. I grew up on video games. Just not like that.
What did you play?
Man.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of got out of that on like, I don't know, like GameCube era is probably when I started phasing out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had Xbox, and then I think that was probably like the last system.
I got you. Josh got hyped when you said that. Josh hates Fortnite.
Yeah.
You play Smash Bros?
Did
You
I?
play
Fortnite
Smash on the
fucking
GameCube?
rocks, dude.
I feel like Smash Bros was like right at the end of my gaming. I did play it, but I never got like super into it. I don't know. I just appreciated games that you put them in and you beat them, and then they were done.
Right.
It's not player versus player. It does bring out the worst in most people.
Well, now it's like you download all the, weapons, maps, skins, and like the game never ends.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like the money-making model. If it never ends, then you keep selling more stuff forever. But like back in the day, it was like you have the cartridge, you put it in, when you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Simpler times.
I appreciated that. There was like finality to it.
Yeah.
When it was over, it was over.
Yeah.
And you felt accomplished. Now it's like you can never be done. I mean, I guess there's like missions, but
yeah. Nah, dude, that's people like when I play Fortnite, I just play the game. But there's people that I'll play with that are like doing all these side quests and stuff while we're trying to play, and that's where I know it's like you're getting lost, like,
it's not
it's
a
good
story
to play
game.
it, then quit playing it. But like if you're grinding for hours to get like a certain like thing on your skin,
On your battle pass, level up your skin.
It seems a little extra.
Thank God you can't beat scootering. That's a pretty good subscription model right there.
It's impossible.
No one's going to beat it.
It's impossible to do that. Yeah, that's for sure. I still feel like I'm many levels away from a save point. I still have a lot of scootering left to go, and I will probably not ever achieve it, and I'm okay with that.
It's an unbeatable game.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Gotta know what to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, it's cool that you at least transitioned like into the making of scootering at least now, or scooters, but
scootering,
yeah.
Kind of got my fingers into a little bit of everything over the years. It's just I realized real early on that surviving off of scooter riding alone is very extremely challenging, especially back then. Like there was even less opportunity than there is today. So, I just always told myself, like what basically like asked myself, what do I have to do with my life to ensure that I can keep doing this thing that I love for as long as possible. And if that is the question that starts your decision-making process, you quickly realize that you got to get into the business side, whether you know what that means or not at the time. Because I mean, you definitely, I don't think most people know what they're biting off when they make that decision. And I don't know if anything can really prepare you for that, until you're like in the midst of running a business and just all the challenges that go along with it. I didn't like anticipate half of the stuff that I've had to deal with over the years, but that was the answer to the question.
Yeah.
So that is where.
Did you go to school?
Yeah, sort of. I went to community college down in San Diego. Palomar Community College. It was right up the street from my house.
Same. I went to community college. Did you go to community college?
Nope. Nope.
Any
Diploma
college?
boys. No. No.
I didn't finish either.
No.
Oh no.
No.
First technical difficulty.
Pull the table closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah, school. Did community college. Very briefly. I was not a high achieving student by any means. My head was elsewhere.
Right.
Very, very hard to focus on school when all you want to do is ride scooters.
I was there.
And at the
Completely feel
time,
you.
know,
Yeah.
at the time, like I graduated high school in 2003, and scooter technology in 2003 was basically a stock razor,
Yeah.
a bolted razor. I don't even know if they were bolted at that time. So I knew, again, like if going back to the question, like what do I have to do to make sure that I can do the thing that I love, not only for as long as possible, but like have the most fun possible along the way. It was like, not only do I have to get into the business, but the scooters need to be better.
Right.
So
Right.
that was kind of like the motivating factors behind it. So yeah, I went to community college, didn't really know what direction I wanted to go. Just started taking like general ed stuff, math, English,
Yeah.
history, economics. Some stuff resonated with me more than others. Economics, I think I did all right in that, and that kind of like lends itself to the business world. The rest of the stuff, it was just like failed out of like everything. Got put on academic probation at community college.
Yeah.
What is academic probation?
You basically have like last chance, like if you fail any more classes, like we're not going to let you keep re-enrolling.
Oh,
And then
damn.
so I just stopped going. But yeah, I basically like failed out of community college, and then decided that, well, I think the last class that I took at community college was like a career path course, and they do like all these personality tests and see what your aptitude is, and mine was like basically like entrepreneur. Basically is like a personality type,
Mhm.
like somebody that can just like kind of like figure things out and like kind of like
build a
be
brand or
yeah, like be inventive, be pioneering in an industry, like identify an area of a market that doesn't really exist or that could use some improvement, and then like kind of like targeting that.
What was the very first thing you did?
In scootering,
Yeah, like the first like business scooter thing you did, like the smallest thing, not even like the first big thing.
the last
scootering.
class that I took was that career path class that basically said like entrepreneur, like,
Mhm.
and so I was just like, oh, well, then I'm dropping out of school then. I was also failing
Okay.
out, so it was
First
like
step,
convenient
drop
time.
out.
Yeah.
It was a convenient
Yeah.
time, and I like, for anybody watching this, I do not endorse going to school and failing out. Like like go and take it seriously, or don't go, but don't go and fail out. Like that's just stupid. And I did that, and
Yeah. True.
it has worked out for me.
But it probably would have been easier if you had like a job with making consistent pay where you could have dumped it into scootering instead of being like, oh, fuck.
So that was the next step. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my aunt, she
Mhm.
worked personnel for an oil drilling company
Okay.
in Louisiana called Parker Drilling. I think they got bought. They go by Parker. It's still Parker, but Parker something else. I think they're like a conglomerate now. But I had another job at the time doing just like facility maintenance at this place. And I got fired. And then I was like, I'm failing out of school. I just got fired. All I want to do is ride scooters. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
All I want to do is ride scooters and ride the best possible scooters. That's like,
Okay.
the other key factor. And so I was like, I need to just start a scooter company. Like I have ideas, but I need money to make this stuff, to actually like make this a reality. So
Okay.
I hit up my aunt and I was like, hey, I got fired. I need money. She was like, be here on Monday. And that was like on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
And so I just like loaded up my stuff in my car. I had a 93 Ford Escort, little four-door.
Hit the road.
Just put some stuff in my car and drove to Louisiana. And then on Monday, like started my oil field orientation. And then I think it was about 2 weeks. I think orientation was like 2 weeks. It was like a week of safety. Like safety is huge, and then like another week of
how many people die in the oil field? I feel like that's a high number.
how many people have died or currently die.
Okay.
I don't know what the current. I don't know.
Did you know anyone that died? Did you work with anyone who died on an oil field?
No. Somebody did die on my rig a few months, I think. Don't quote me on this, Parker Drilling. If you're watching this, I think it was on my rig.
Died.
I think it was on my rig, like
wasn't a
maybe
real
6
person.
months. 6 months before I got on the rig.
Damn.
But I mean, like
there's-
most of it's just like stupid, careless mistakes. You know, it's not. I mean, it is extremely dangerous, but a lot of it's
doable.
just careless. You know, I think the guy that died, he was pressure washing the floors, and there was like a metal like walkway, like the grating. Everything's grating, so you can like wash stuff through, and they had like a piece of grating out. But those rigs are like, 4, 5, 6 stories tall. Like sometimes under that grating, like you're like walking in the air, and there's a piece of grating out, and he was walking backwards, pressure washing the deck, and just like walked through the grating.
Oh.
So that's not even like an equipment malfunction or
It's just
anything.
personal error.
Yeah, like that was just like a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
You know.
Just don't be dumb. Watch your surroundings.
Yeah.
Damn.
I have a similar story. I do like roofing work. I didn't see this happen, but a buddy of mine I was working with told me about it. He was doing a night inspect, and like a skylight on a roof.
Yeah.
So he was walking backwards inspecting this roof at night, and he fell through the skylight and fell like 40 fucking feet.
Damn.
Because it's just like micro. I don't even know exactly what they're made out of, but you
Hell
can't
nah.
stand on that shit, and he
Hell.
fell through it and broke his back.
That happened. Oh man, I cannot remember who the person is, and I'm not even gonna try. If somebody watches this and knows what I'm talking about, comment about it. But somebody at Scooter Zone, when it was at the Mega Zone, they had like one of those all-nighters, and there was people on the roof. And I forget who it was, but they fully went through the skylight and landed in the foam pit.
Yeah.
Landed in the foam pit.
God,
Legendary. Yeah.
That's God right there.
But I don't remember who that was. I can't
Straight through the
think. But
fiberglass.
somebody from back in the Scooter Zone days,
Yeah.
But
was
yeah,
crazy.
so
You've seen this clip?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Straight up, I
gosh.
forget what they were doing, but it just fell right into the
Through the
foam pit.
through the
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah.
through the skylight and
It
just
just
happened to
popped
be
out.
over the foam
Yeah.
pit. Yeah.
Oh my god.
These guys are lucky.
Oh my
They're just
god.
like the guy, but
I wonder if they were like the foam pit's right there and they jumped in it.
I think it was very much
Yeah.
an accident.
Yeah,
it
they looked
definitely
like
like
a
the
fall.
roof was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
falling with him.
Mm,
Like he wasn't clean.
not clean. Okay, so you started Proto because you wanted to keep scootering and make money in scootering. What was the first?
Technically, Scooter Resource. Proto was later.
Okay, I got you. So Scooter Resource, and then what was the first? When was the first time you ever made money, like through a scooter business?
So I started Scooter Resource in 2003, and then I moved to Louisiana and worked offshore in 2005. And then I think I went out there in like July, and I was like, all right, I'm moving home at the end of the year, like no matter what. Like I'm putting in 6 months, I'm working as much as I can, saving as much money as I can. Then when I go home, I'm gonna start prototyping. It's like where the name came from. Prototype.
It's prototype.
Tech.
Yeah. So saved up money, moved home. And so in the oil field, you work like 7 days on, 7 days off. And if you work over, basically your relief crew, if they're shorthanded, you can volunteer to stay out.
Okay.
So I was doing 21 days offshore, 7 days at home, 21 days offshore, 7 days at home.
Jesus.
And then when you're out there, it's 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
How
So,
far out are you? Like
So
from land?
I was on a shallow water barge.
Okay.
So we were in about like 10 foot of water, and I was in White Lake, Louisiana. So I wasn't actually in the Gulf. I wasn't on the open water. I was in like
Yeah.
sheltered,
Yeah.
shallow water. It was like a 2 hour. It was like an hour. It was about a 2 hour drive from where I was living in New Iberia, Louisiana. That's where my family's from. It was like a 2 hour drive from there to Intercoastal City, which is like where all the like central Louisiana rigs ship out of. And it was like a 2 hour boat ride from Intercoastal City out to White Lake. So it was like a 4 hour commute, but I only had to do it like once every 3 weeks.
Then you'd be out
Yeah.
in the water for 21 days. That's insane.
Yeah, 21 days, 12 hours a day,
Jesus.
84-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Do they just like boat meals onto there, or is there like
It's everything.
chefs or?
Yeah. And
That's
if you're a
sick.
bad chef, you get fired immediately.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like food
bet,
is
yeah.
fuel. Food is fuel, and the oil field is like all manual labor. So
Yeah.
I mean, if your
You
crew
need
is eating poorly, they're performing poorly, and
Right.
they will
Yeah.
get rid of the cooks like immediately. It's honestly like the best I ever ate in my whole life.
Yeah, because I'm sure y'all all knew how
Yeah.
easy you could fire him. You just all talk shit like, "Bro, I can't."
Yeah.
Yeah, and while you're so it's 12 hours a day, but like while you're on 12, your other like the like this flip shift on the rig is on their 12 hours off. So the kitchen's going 24 hours a day.
Jeez.
Yeah. And they do your laundry, they wake you up, do your laundry, there's showers and laundry room, and I mean you can do your own stuff too, but I mean like they're like you can just like throw everything in a
Yeah.
pile and everything's like done for you. Yeah, it's crazy. Like they like and there's no gas, there's no rent, like you're literally living on the rig. So it actually like the more you're willing to work, the more you can kind of stack money.
Yeah.
So I did that for those 6 months, and then I moved home in December, and then I did actually go back to school briefly to that same community college. I took because by that point I was like, okay, I have money, a little bit of money, more than I had when I left.
Yeah.
And I have some ideas, but now I need to figure out how to get those ideas out of my head onto a computer, or like at some way that I can like translate these ideas to somebody who can help me make the stuff.
Yeah.
And
So you went in like CAD modeling?
Yeah. So I took 1 semester of AutoCAD, which I never pursued that. That's more like for architectural, like blueprints and floor plans and that type of stuff. And then I also took SolidWorks. And so SolidWorks is like 3D part modeling. So I took the introduction to that, and then the following semester took another semester of SolidWorks, like the advanced modeling, which I mean, SolidWorks is like a crazy, crazy vast program. So like the advanced 3D modeling is really still like beginner level stuff. Like once you like realize how much it's capable of. But yeah, I took those 2 semesters of SolidWorks and then started, you know, like my final for each semester, like your assignments were like whatever the teacher wanted, but like your final could be whatever you wanted. So
That's sick.
it was basically like scooters.
Yeah.
So
so you're getting school credit to build scooters?
wasn't building them yet. I was just designing them. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Some of the only classes that I passed.
And you didn't graduate?
No, I didn't graduate because there's like all kinds of other stuff. I mean, you still have to have like all the general ed stuff. Like I failed all the general ed stuff. Like the thing about school is like if I was interested in it, or I mean, maybe this is just like my theme for life, you know, like if I'm interested in it, I excel in it. Like I get obsessed with it. I fixate on it.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, I just do not care.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's tough to get into stuff that I'm not into for sure.
Yeah.
Even if it's good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You
And
gotta,
that's where
like, combat
discipline
it.
that's where
Yeah.
discipline comes in, and that's is something that I've struggled with a lot, you know, like forcing yourself to do the things that you don't want to do, but you have to do. And in business, there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to do that I have to do that you just have to force yourself to do.
Right.
But yeah, so actually the first thing that I sold through Scooter Resource was a t-shirt. Wasn't even a scooter part. So I just made just black t-shirts with a gold Scooter Resource star, and it's on the back, on like the lower back, it just says, www.scooterresource.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the very first thing that I sold. And then Yak Wheels.
Ooh.
I hit up Yak Wheels. They were like the best wheel at the time.
Yeah.
Like legendary, honestly. Like like in the early days, like
got some in the garage.
Yeah.
But it had to be.
I had it like when I got into scootering. That's what I rode.
It had to be the Yaks though that had like the actual like the yak on the scooter, like the little guy, the ones that had the horns going up the sides. Am I too far?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that had the horns going up the sides, that was like the second generation yak, and those like the quality like went way down. I don't know what they changed, the factory, the supplier, the material, what happened, but those were never lived up to the hype of the original. Like the original yaks, like for a plastic core wheel, they were actually amazing. And so I was buying wholesale on those and reselling those. That was probably like the second thing that I was selling. And then like right around that time, I started making the SR forks, which was like so like in this period of time, it's like I moved home, went back to school, and then after I finished those, like my finals of like scooter parts, I was like, okay, like I have all my designs. Now I need to find somebody to make them. So I just hit up all the machine shops in San Diego that I could find and just like sent them all my like my SolidWorks drawings from class. And I was like, hey, can somebody help me make this? Somebody help me make this. Somebody help me make it. And I reached out to like, I don't know, 30, 40 machine shops probably. Oof. And like got like 2 callbacks. And then like one of them was called Vista Industrial Product VIP. And
shout out.
Yeah. What up, VIP?
Origins.
And the owner, his name was Kurt Ackerman. He looked like Santa Claus. He was rad. I actually just stopped by there the other day. I found out he died, which is a bummer.
R.I.P. VIP, dude.
But yeah, he called me up personally, which was insane because like I had no idea who he was or what the shop was. I was just like calling numbers probably out of a phone book back then. I don't know. Yeah. And so this guy calls me up and he's like, hey, we can't help you make scooters, but we need somebody that knows SolidWorks like drafting. And I was like, okay, so like offering me a job instead. and so part of the deal is like once I actually went in there and like checked the place out, it was like a huge manufacturing facility. Like they had all their raw material area, like saws, shears. Then they had a full CNC turret punch and press department, lasers. Then they had a press brake department for like, they did a lot of sheet metal stuff. So a lot of like press brakes, which is like for bending sheet metal after they cut it on the laser. And that's why the first proto forks were all sheet metal, because that's when I was working at VIP. And then they had a full welding department, full CNC department, mill, lathe. They had a grinding and deburring department. They had masking, painting, plating. So part of the deal,
everything you need for alien tech.
Yeah, totally. Like I learned more working at VIP than anywhere ever. You know, I guess like the oil field taught me my work ethic, but Vista Industrial Product taught me the actual manufacturing,
the art of
skills.
Making things. Yeah. That's so cool. Off a random callback too.
Yeah.
That's
but
crazy.
At this point, I still didn't have scooter parts.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I mean,
cool drawings. You want to come work here instead?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is part of the deal is like, if you're going to work in the office there, you have to understand what's happening on the factory floor.
Yeah. Okay.
So they hired me on as a temp, you know, just to see how things go. And basically like the deal is that you have to float between all the different departments. Like you have to learn a little bit about every department in the facility, and then you can come in the office. And so I ended up floating like every department. I worked
Yeah.
everything that I just listed. Like I worked a little bit in all of those, and then I ended up staying in welding for a while. And then never got brought into the office. So I got hired to do SolidWorks and then never ended up doing SolidWorks there. I just was like on the factory floor for like, I think I was there. It was supposed to be like 3 months of temp, and then you're supposed to get like a performance review, and then like you would get hired on full time. And I like never got, or I think I got hired on full time, but I never got the performance review. There's some like weird stuff, like basically like what I thought I was signing up for never really happened, but I got a ton of manufacturing experience and got super good at welding.
You could already design them, so you're kind of like figuring it all out.
Yeah, it's like if you guys aren't gonna like help me make these, like I'm gonna learn how to make them while I'm working around all of this equipment.
Yeah.
Totally.
Figured it out.
Yeah, so that's what I did. And then the first scooter parts that I actually made was the SR fork. That was the first threadless fork.
How many did you make?
I think in total it was like just under 300.
Oh, nice.
Still a lot.
Nice, yeah.
That's a good bit, yeah.
And that was like over the course of, I mean, you have to like
you made them at the shop, right? At the where you were working? Did you make them there?
No, so I prototyped the first one-piece deck there. Well,
okay.
I welded it there, but I didn't. I had there was another guy that worked there that I knew, and he had CNC machines like on the side, and so I had him CNC machine the pieces, and then when I was working at VIP after hours, I welded it up.
Nice.
It was only 2 of them.
So how'd you make the fork though? Where'd you make it?
So, actually, another funny story. The place that fired me before I moved to Louisiana.
Okay.
It was a place called Quiltin' a Day.
Okay.
And so that they're still there.
What do they do? They make quilts?
They're like a fabric and quilt pattern supplier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so after high school, so when I was in high school, I took like video production, TV production, did like 2 semesters or 2 years of like multimedia classes. And then one of our buddies that we took the classes with got a job at Quiltin' a Day because the woman who owns it, her name's Eleanor, and she was like a quilting celebrity. And so they filmed, like instructional how-to videos for quilting and stuff. And so he got a job doing video production there. And then like over the years, just like recruited all the homies to like get jobs there. So like I never had anything to do with quilting, but I was there for like facility maintenance, worked in shipping for a little while. And so one of her sons owns a big skateboard manufacturing company.
Oh, damn.
And his old press room where they press the boards was in the back of Quiltin'
What was the company?
It's called BBS.
BBS? I don't know. Old, but pretty big back in the day.
No, they're still like the biggest today.
BBS?
Yeah.
Do they just then they're their own? They print everybody else's boards. Yeah. They make their boards. All these name brand. Okay.
Yeah, their factory is in.
Damn, I wonder what companies they print. Probably
most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. Yeah.
Damn,
so their factory's down in Tijuana, and their distribution center in the States is right next to Quiltin' a Day. So the mother's business is Quiltin' a Day, and then.
So wait, are you telling me you made forks at the skateboard factory?
They were no longer occupying the space, but it was their first press room. Yeah.
As you're going into enemy territory making your parts.
I grew up in enemy territory.
California
is the capital of action sports, and scooters are the red-headed stepchild. Yeah, I kind of paved the way and pioneered it in a place where I was supposed to be on a skateboard or a BMX bike.
That's so funny because, like, I bet you a bunch of people working there, they were like, I swear, if they would have found out, they would have been pissed.
I mean, by that time, like that. So, I mean, I was there in like 2005. No. Got fired in 2005. Moved back, like probably like 2006, 2000. Maybe not even 2006, because 2006 I was like still in school, working at VIP, and then probably like by 2007, I was like, all right, I'm ready to like do this. And then I hit them up. So the other son, so Grant is the owner of BBS, and Orion is the other son that manages Quilt in a Day. And so I was like, I knew both of them, and I hit up Orion was the one that fired me, and I hit him up. But I liked him. Like we still talk. It was my fault, you know.
Yeah.
And I accept full responsibility for that. I deserve to get fired. My tardiness.
Yeah.
And my tardiness is still a problem. Just being real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hit him up and I was just like, hey man, like I'm trying to start this thing. Do you think I could just like ship some packages over there? Because they had like the full shipping department. I didn't have any of that. And he was like, yeah, you can come pack stuff up, ship it out, just like keep track of, you know, how much postage you spend and just like make sure you pay for whatever you use, packing supplies and stuff. And so started as that. And then, you know, like just kind of like over a few months or a year or something, it was like, hey, like I'm doing more. Like I was just shipping t-shirts and yak wheels like out of my bedroom at my parents' house. That was like my warehouse, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, like I have some parts that I want to like try to start making. Like, is there a place you like, you know, do you think I could like do some stuff in the little back room? Which was like, so his brother's old skateboard press room just became like the facility maintenance room. So there was like drill presses, welders, like welding table, like just like super simple, like just basic like hand tool stuff. And I was like, do you think I could just like whip something up in the back room? And so that's where I made the first threadless fork, the first SR fork.
Boom.
And then rode that for a little while. And then just kind of like made some improvements on it. You know, I was still just kind of like figuring out like what works.
Yeah, you're just playing with it. You're playing around.
Yeah, prototyping.
What sticks.
Yeah.
You're prototyping.
Yeah.
Protoing in the skate warehouse.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but at this point, like proto didn't exist, so we're probably like in 2007 era. And then what was next? Yeah,
So I mean, you go shirts, wheels, fork, prototyping fork. Were you selling them?
No, I think actually,
So you made the fork in the back room, and then how long did it take till you made 300 and you sold them?
it wasn't all at once. Like that was like I would do, you know, like 10 or 20 at a time, or you know, like I would do it like batches. So like as demand was there, I would just like keep making more. And then like at that same time I was buying the Buff Bar stems.
Oh, you haven't seen my bars.
No.
Landon Shea made me prototype Buff Bars.
Nice.
Yeah, he made a new. Yeah, I gotta show you them after this.
Sweet.
Got some. Yeah.
Yeah. So those stems were. I think it was called like a Boxer. Boxer was the brand or the model of. It was like when GoPeds were super big, like motorized scooters, and so ADA Racing out of Arizona. I think they're still in business. They did like GoPed parts, but also like jet ski parts and. Basically just a machine shop that did like a bunch of billet component work. They had 3 different steering column diameter stems that they made, and one of them happened to work perfectly for, and you know, I was like still like piecing together, okay, like I have this threadless. Well, there was also threaded SR forks too. They weren't all threadless. There was threaded ones and threadless ones.
This is too long ago for me, man. I've never been in that era ever.
Yeah.
Whew.
I mean, it was memorable for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like at that time, it was like if you have a threadless fork, then what keeps your headset tight? You have to have, and like so I was thinking like, okay, like I need something to keep compression.
Boom, SES.
No.
Ah, fuck. What came first?
ICS.
Oh, okay, yeah. From the
so-
bottom, right?
From the bottom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, like, I had I grew up riding BMX.
Yeah.
And so I was more familiar with like that, you know, like star nuts at the time and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I can just like try to find a larger star nut, which I was able to.
Yep.
Surprisingly, like they actually existed. Like that was a component. Very extremely uncommon component, but they existed. So I was able to track those down from my local bike shop. And then I was able to go to like a hardware supplier and just find a super long, it was an M6 by 200 socket head cap screw, which is like
It's a lot of jargon, but I'm assuming big bolt.
200 millimeters long. M6 is 6 millimeter diameter. So that's like what most
6 mil.
6 mil.
Yeah.
But not 6 mil Allen, 5 mil Allen. Like when people say 6 mil, like you got to be careful because like sometimes they're referring to the size of the Allen drive and sometimes they're referring to the size of the thread diameter.
Dude, you are a metal meathead. Because this is like, dude, there's so much shit that just I'll never know. You really, you worked in a manufacturing shop.
Yeah,
shit's,
I still do.
It tells. Yeah, true. It's just your own now.
Yeah, so ICS, that was the first one, and then I was like I try actually before at the scooter resource at the shop I have like a little scooter resource museum, so I actually have like the first threadless fork still there and the first ICS.
So sick.
And the first ICS wasn't even a star nut in the bar, it was like a welded in, like I just took an aluminum like a little flat plate of aluminum, drilled a hole in it, put threads in it, and then welded that into a stock razor handlebar. And then that was like what I threaded into for the first ICS. And what I learned,
Frankenstein.
What I learned pretty quickly is that when you weld aluminum, you lose like 80% of your strength, and the only way to regain it is with heat treating. And at the time, I didn't know anything about that, so as soon as I welded that in there, the bars were basically compromised and they snapped, but the headset stayed tight. So it was like a proof of concept. Like it broke above the threaded washer that was in there. So the ICS kept the headset tight, even though the bars broke off. Like the compression system, the system to keep the headset compressed.
It worked. Yeah, it was a win.
Like, all right, like I'm on to something. Like now, how do I get threads in the bar that don't compromise the integrity of the bar? And then that's when I started looking for the larger star nuts, found them, and then like once I put all those pieces together, I was like, okay, now I can actually like start selling this, because I couldn't sell the threadless fork until I figured out all the pieces that people would need to be able to install it and use it and maintain it. Maintenance is a huge thing. Compatibility is the hugest thing.
Biggest,
Compatibility is like that is like my number one, always has been my number one focus. It's like you can't just like have a good idea and release it prematurely. Like it has to be fully battle tested in your mind and in the real world.
I feel like that's so hard in scootering, and I didn't even, because all I know was trying to buy a scooter and then me and my dad trying to build it in the garage, and like how mad. It was mainly my dad trying to build it and just how pissed he would get because like he couldn't build it because parts didn't work. We're ordering all this shit offline and we don't know what's compatible. I can't imagine trying to like invent the system and then trying to. I mean, are there a bunch of other people who you're like, okay, y'all need to do this. Like, y'all need to make it like this. I can do my shit.
Everybody. Just saying. I mean, you all use Inch and an 1/8 forks and SCS. I mean, everybody needs to keep moving in that direction.
Now we're pretty much on the wave, though. I say almost everyone does it. You got the few HIC weenies out there.
I think
fucking scrubs.
HIC. I feel like HIC is like pretty uncommon. Maybe like the least common, but the mini IHC, the IHIC, I think different brands call it different stuff, but it's actually
never even heard of it.
It's all over the place, but it's like
is that what's like in Envy completes? Like that fucking knob?
It's a 1-inch fork instead of 1 1/8, and then the HIC shim, instead of being 1 1/4, it's 1 1/8. So then you can run standard size bars on an HIC setup.
Okay.
But basically they just took everything that was good and made it smaller and weaker.
Yeah.
Because they want it to be lighter.
And it's lighter.
Right? Is that the reason? Or do you think
that's the only reason?
I think people are more so cost. More so cost. Yeah. It is lighter, but I think for most of that stuff, it's about hitting the right price
Profit
structure.
margins, they can pump them out really easy.
And that's
Make it
just that market,
completes,
you know, like
yeah.
that market of like I don't know, $150 completes, like that's just like the type of kid that,
Yeah.
you know, it's a young, small kid that isn't going to spend a lot of money, just wants like a light, basically toy scooter
Yeah.
just to like
Yeah.
play on, and that technology, I guess, like serves that purpose. But I mean,
Man, and that does it kind of sucks that that's the way it is. I mean, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say I feel like most people that actually ride are on
Yeah.
SES,
Yeah.
except for like those people that do want the lightest possible scooter. They're
Yep.
gonna ride like a single clamp or whatever, you
I feel
know.
like even
But
them
like,
now are like riding SES, like a lot
so
of park
shit's
riders.
breaking, dude. I don't
Yeah.
see anybody. Well, I don't know. I don't really watch too many park clips, but I feel like titanium bars aren't even like too much of a thing now. Because they were
they're
just
so
like
expensive, and
just
they
snapping and
they break,
expensive, and
like they break.
it's not
Like,
even worth
I
it,
feel
you
like
know?
nobody wants to try to make them because you can just get them on Alibaba. Like their competitions, just why even try? I feel like, or they're just drop shipping tie bars.
Yeah. I know Affinity did them for a while, but I don't even think
Yeah, I
they're
had
like
a pair.
making bars
I
anymore.
hate. I don't think you should ride them. They suck. That like the flex, you don't have as much.
Unless you have a
Uh,
completely light scooter too. I rode
mhm.
some at Woodward one time because like I needed a pair and it was the only thing available. And my scooter felt so off axis,
Yeah,
like heavy on
because
the
they,
bottom and just like
dude,
nothing on the
they had
bars when you
standard
air.
ones too, and they would fucking jiggle. I have a clip of me doing like a. I tried 180 full on the 7 at Woodward, and my bars like I have at least 10 clips of me like landing, and it jiggles back, and it would just fucking launch me backwards, like straight to my button head.
yeah, aluminum and titanium are good for rigid components, stuff that doesn't flex.
Right.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people talk about, you know, like, oh, I like the way that this feels because it has give or it flexes. And it's like, if they're talking about that in reference to an aluminum or a titanium component, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Right. Yeah.
Because aluminum and titanium, they fatigue. And steel, like what are leaf springs made out of on a car? What
Hmm.
are coil shocks made out of on a car, a truck, a motorcycle? Like it's all steel. Steel is an extremely resilient material.
Yeah.
So you can compress it and expand it, you know, millions of repetitions and it will never fatigue
Right.
for the most part. I mean, you can definitely like overstrain steel. Um, but aluminum and titanium, like even if they're like within like a flex range, it's just a material that fatigues.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why decks eventually break no matter what, which is why aluminum bars eventually break no matter what,
Hmm.
titanium bars eventually break no matter what. Even if you've never crashed or wrecked or thrown your scooter or, you know, like wrenched on it super hard, like they will just naturally fatigue, develop a crack, and
Yep.
fail.
Hmm.
And that's just the way that that material is. So, like, anytime you're talking about flex, if you're talking about flex and anything other than steel, that is like super dangerous.
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
TDI, like TDI is, I think and I hope it is the most rigid deck in the market.
Oh, it is. It's a
Because
brick.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Even the bars, dude. I've read those for like 3 years straight now, and they're scuffed up.
yeah,
But like
Yeah. He throws his scooter
they,
too.
they
yeah.
Yeah.
not on purpose,
No,
but
not on
but
purpose. It
like yeah,
failed. Yeah.
sometimes like they'll just happen, and it's just wheels for me. The only
Yeah.
thing that I ever am like hitting you up for is just some new
Yeah.
wheels.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've been riding a Proto headset before I was even on Proto for like 7 years. Like the same fucking
Yeah, the
bearings and shit.
headsets
Like
are super good.
that was the one thing I was always standing by. I'm like, these things rip. Like those AO headsets sucked dick. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I would pop those things all the time. And
So
I
like
just got one.
a TDI deck will crack eventually, you know,
Yeah.
but they don't. I, I really like, maybe I've seen like five or less. I honestly can't
Yeah.
even think of five that have bananaed. Like
Yeah.
they will
Yeah.
break before they banana.
Yeah.
Like So, I mean, the whole system it's designed to be rigid because flex, like if I designed those components flexible, they would fail. Like it's a guarantee that they would fail. And then,
Yeah.
the customer buying made in the USA product at made in the USA prices, we are the most expensive because we're manufactured in the United States.
Is aluminum cheaper
than what?
Steel?
It's like a hard comparison, like because you're not using like pound for pound, you're not using like the same amount.
Okay, I got you.
Because steel is so much heavier, so it's it's kind of like a hard comparison.
Yeah. I like, and this is like this would be a hot take for you, maybe, but I kind of like how I have an aluminum deck, and I like how it bends because of the pop and the feel.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna break, and I know it is weaker than like the proto deck.
Yeah.
Because I can feel it, dude. I get on his scooter, and it's like I can slam that thing on rails, like just be aggressive with it. I know I can feel I won't break it, but I like I don't know, that give, like the pop, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a feel. Like I wonder if you think you'd ever make like an aluminum plate. I guess the weight with like the head tube and the plate would be off, but like I wonder if
to do a neck.
I wonder if it'd be like, would it be cheaper to make an aluminum plate and have like a deck that gives easier? It might break, but then you can just replace the deck.
The TDI deck is aluminum. Like
the actual okay.
Yeah.
Then
Everything is aluminum. It's just the profile of it.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, well, I'm just dumb.
Yeah. No, TDI is complete. Like the material that TDI is made out of is identical. Maybe not identical.
Yeah.
Because I cannot confirm what one-piece decks coming out of China are made out of.
Yeah.
I tend to think that they are not the same alloy.
Probably. I mean, I want to say that's why I mix it up. I mean, it looks different, feels different, but I guess that's just how much like metal you have in it.
It's like if you can imagine, like if you take a deck extrusion and you just like chop a slice out of it, like that cross section. So depending on like where it's thick, where it's thin, how wide, and different angles of different features, like that all gives it like its rigidity characteristics or its flex characteristics. So if you look at decks that have a lot of flex are typically thinner.
Yeah.
And the taller the deck extrusion is, like the taller those vertical support walls are, typically you're going to get a more rigid deck. Also, the wider they are, the beefier you make it, the larger overall you make it, it's going to equal rigidity.
Okay.
But also strength, a longer lifespan. It'll take more impact. It'll take longer to grind through it. So I mean, so going back to, like the made in the USA pricing, like if we're going to be the most expensive on the market, then our stuff better lasts the longest.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. Cause you don't want them to have to keep buying parts. Cause I have a native Ventura and I love the deck, but I've had it for like 2 months. It's thraxed. Like it's fucked. I wallied the back of like a couple rails, and I mean, there's dents in the bottom.
Yeah.
They're so easy to destroy.
some of that is like, I mean, that could be the type of material. It's either like a lesser alloy strength, or it could just be getting super aggressive with like trying to make the extrusion lightweight and making instead of the flat bottom, an eighth of an inch. This is just like total hypothetical, but like instead of making it an eighth of an inch thick, they're making it a 16th of an inch thick, just to save weight. But then you hit it hard once and you're gonna have a fat dent in it because it's half the thickness.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if those specs like
bend
match
them out like this. Like those decks like they break. I don't snap them often, but I flex them. Like they fucking banana up on the sides.
Like wings?
Like wings. They wing up.
Yeah. So that is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
That is definitely
Maybe
a phenomenon.
on a lot of decks,
No, that is a phenomenon for all scooter. I mean, just the nature of a scooter extrusion, like especially the wider and wider the decks get, the necks typically aren't getting wider. It's just these outer wings that are getting wider. So you have more and more sticking out from the neck that's like in that flex
Right.
flex
In the range.
zone. Yeah, and so like, I mean, if you actually like look at the stuff like FEA, that's finite element analysis, so that's
Okay.
like stress testing in SolidWorks or like
Mhm.
CAD software, like you can like see like a scooter deck will like flap like a bird,
Yeah.
like it's got wings.
Yeah.
Like if you put
Damn.
pressure in the right places, you know, like you can see like flex in these areas, which is why actually basically like every deck on the market that has like the welded on front blunt plate cap,
Yeah.
like the reason all those crack off is because the decks are like the wings are flapping.
Yeah, it's flat and then
Right.
it pops off the front.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wings
that
are
makes
flapping,
sense.
and every time the wing flaps, it's fatiguing that weld, fatiguing that weld, fatiguing that weld, and eventually the fatigue turns into a hairline crack.
Mhm.
And then the more it flaps, the hairline crack runs, and then your whole front blunt plate cap
Yeah.
rips off.
Yeah.
And then once that rips off, then the whole neck rips out of the front of the deck. So at least like, you know, I know people are skeptical about you know, TDI having open ends on it, but nothing's going to break off.
Yeah.
And if there is a crack, you're going to see it. It's not going to be hidden under a cap. And then also going back to what I was saying about you know, the lesson I learned welding the threaded insert for ICS and the aluminum bars, like anytime you weld on aluminum, not only do you risk the quality of the weld, but you risk the quality of the heat treat.
Mhm.
So you hope that if you do everything perfect, you get it back to full quality. But welding, for the most part, is still a manual process. Heat treat is still, I mean, they have like levels of automation to this stuff, but there's still like room for human error. So, I mean, are you 100% of the time getting a welded one piece deck back to full strength? I don't know, but I also don't have to think about it because I don't weld.
You don't do it.
I don't
Yeah.
do it because I don't even want that possibility of human error. So yeah, you don't really ever know. You know, did you get the best one from the batch or the worst one from the batch?
Right.
Like with TDI and CNC, like, you know, like your material is spec'd
It's the same thing every time.
single time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. I didn't know that.
It's like
Yeah.
the repeatability of TDI is just like so much higher, and you're eliminating processes.
Yeah.
There's no welding, there's no heat treating, and there's no room for possible quality issues or errors with that stuff. So
now that you have like a shop and you can play around with it more, do you want to play with like how like deck feel more? Like maybe like taking certain things out, or like what do you want to do in the future?
I mean, for a long time, so I mean, kind of like TDI development went, you know, like we had the first release was the Orion standard head tube or standard bearing cups, and that extrusion had the little wings on it, so we could cut those off and get a 4-inch wide deck, a 4.5, basically anything between 4 and 5 inches wide we could get from that one extrusion. But it had like anything beyond 4 inches had like the knife edges on it, and for finger whips, or if you're unfortunate enough to like whip yourself with that, or land on with the deck sideways on the ground on one of those knife edges, like that's not fun. So like flat sides was obviously like where we wanted to go, but each time you have to buy a new die for a new shape, it's a huge investment. So, you know, like I wanted to make 5 wide, but at the time the market was still 4 or 5. So if I had made a 5, I probably wouldn't have been able to sell it back then, which is crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
But back then, if I had just gone straight to 5 square side, the market would have just been like, what is this? Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So I had to do it that way. And then we came out with the space deck. And we had the space deck for a long time. Probably the most TDI development happened on the space deck. That's when we like really perfected the flush mount technology, like the deck ends and the rear wheel spacers that still have yet to not see the light of day. Like the teams all had it, but we haven't gotten them to market yet. I'm hoping to get them out this year.
Hell yeah.
And then just like geometry in the front, like the blunt plate area. I mean, we just the space deck was probably like the most pivotal one. And that one was out for like probably like 5 years or something. And during that time, we made the transition to the integrated bearing cups. And then probably like the biggest transition was threading the actual TDI holes.
Mm.
And so that, again, like going back to compatibility, longevity, serviceability of scooter parts, that was something that I really wanted to do, but I couldn't just start making it and putting it on the market without thorough testing. Like, I thought it was a good idea, but how long in the real world is this actually going to last? Are people going to strip the threads out of the neck, and the neck's the most expensive part of the scooter, and now they can't use it because it's stripped day one?
Yeah.
And then like changing multiple decks over time and pulling those bolts in and out and in and out and in and out. Like, is that going to work? And so it takes, years to get that feedback from the team and testing all that stuff. So while we were working on that, like testing that, that's when the sport started going 5.5,
bigger and bigger
6,
and bigger. Oh
6.5. And then I'm just like, we still have the 5-inch wide space deck, and I'm like putting all my attention into the new TDI head tube with the threaded hardware. Like, that's where all of my attention is. That's where all my R&D and prototyping, and like that was all my focus.
Putting all your money into it.
Like I was all in, developing the next phase of TDI, and then that's when we fell behind on deck sizes. Because I couldn't invest in more extrusion dies at the same time that I was trying to perfect the next neck drop. And that like cost us some ground in the market. But I mean, like, if you watch like the early TDI videos, like the plan was always to go big. Like like the plan was never to not go big. It was just like I had to focus on the neck and the neck hardware at that time. And I think from the outside looking in, for people who like haven't followed all of the development of the brand over the years, just look like we were falling behind. But and like the way I see it, we're like a decade ahead because of that phase of development. So it doesn't feel like we fell behind, even though it might look that way. And then eventually, like once that head tube was out, then we'd finally drop the Eclipse. And the Eclipse
5.5, right?
Yeah, the 5.5 Eclipse, and that was like, aptly named because it was like eclipsing, all the deck sizes of the past, because the Orion maxed out at 5, the Space maxed out at 5, and then the Eclipse was like the first one that went bigger, so like eclipsed the old sizes.
It's always cool that there's like a story behind the names. I always enjoy hearing about it.
And then the Saturn.
What's the next one?
The next deck?
The Big Bang.
No, so I mean, like,
wide.
Just break scootering with an 8.
A crazy one. I mean, dude, Dom did the electric scooter.
True.
You gotta just come back with like a crazy 10 wide.
You should have the April Fool's Big Bang. It's a fucking 18-inch deck.
No, just flex the dual scooter again. Just
True.
You still have that. The tandem. The tandem. I think the tandem was only 6 wide.
That thing's crazy.
But back then, that felt
that thing's crazy. It can't
enormous.
turn it for shit.
It's big.
But yeah, then once we got that new neck out, and then we dropped the Eclipse, then we started like catching back up on the deck extrusion. Then we dropped the Saturn. The planet Saturn is the 6th one from the sun. That's the 6-inch deck.
Yep. Nice.
And then the 6.5.
I never knew that. That's cool.
And then the 6.5, that's the Ares. Ares is the god of war. And I felt like at that time there was just like a lot of like tension in the industry, and everybody was like battling for like who was going to have the biggest deck and who was going to be the first to 7. I mean, ultimately it became 7, but there was like 6.2, 6.25, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.7. And so like I felt like that mid 6-inch deck range was just like this battleground, at the time. And so I was like, all right, Ares, God of War, we're gonna just just
Damn.
go to war in the mid 6s, and so that was the Aries.
What's the
It's
7?
a good size.
Soul.
Because it's as big as the sun.
That's funny. I didn't know that one, honestly.
Number 8's the Milky Way.
I don't know, man. I kind of just
don't make an 8.
I don't like. I mean, I've definitely I've laser cut. Just like cross sections of a 7.5 and an 8. I've 3D printed a 7.5 and an 8. Like, I've looked at them. I've like stood on them.
I would love to ride one, but just don't give it to people.
It's just, well, the problem is like to actually get a production extrusion made, you have to get a new die made, and then you have to hit the minimum order for weight on that extrusion. So, I mean, it's just totally impractical. I'm not ever going to do it. Like the 7, I don't know. I think the 7 is plenty.
Yeah,
it's plenty.
And like now we have a full range. We've got 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 7. Like we got a little bit for every width basically. I mean, we don't have the 1/4-inch sizes, but like each of those 1/4-inch sizes is a new die.
Yeah.
A new die, a new minimum order. So it's just like, you know, we have a full range. We have them in a lot of different lengths. Like most lengths that anybody could want to ride.
Yeah,
so
everything.
Dude, let's get 100 comments in the chat on a 2275. Let's get at least 100 heads, 100 pre-orders at least. Let's get it going, chat.
Get the die.
yeah. Someone pay for the die. I'll pitch.
Donald.
No, I'm just kidding.
Buy more of the existing sizes, and then we'll talk.
It's fun R&D. Ride Pro.
Buy more of the stuff that I already invested my whole life into first.
True.
Get some Zach Martin gripper wheels. Get you some Brian Noyce rivers.
Yeah.
Come on. Plenty of stock. Beautiful wheels. Come on.
Okay, yeah, true.
Let's get them sold.
If everybody who watches this buys a proto deck, we're probably 5% closer to a 20.
Come on. Hop on the wave.
It's like the late night telemarketing.
Quit playing yourself.
We're 10% of the way to our goal tonight.
Keep calling in. The lines are flooded.
Click the link below. Oh, man.
And for the next 15 minutes, we got a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
4 easy payments.
Only 20% interest.
Yeah. So that was TDI. You know, was like fell behind on deck sizes because I was working on the new neck hardware. Once we got the neck hardware, then I finished the deck lineup, all the extrusions, got all the dies that I wanted to get, made all the decks that I wanted to make, and then now the shift is gonna go back to neck development again.
Ooh, okay.
So you're talking about the feel.
Yeah.
A lot of, I mean, basically the whole feel of a scooter comes from the neck. The neck controls the ride height. It controls the blunt space. It in part controls the wheelbase. Obviously, the length of the deck has something to do with wheelbase, but also the length of the blunt space also controls wheelbase. So, proto like TDI setups have quite a large blunt space compared to most things on the market. So
definitely
like for crooks,
Mad Gear,
blunts,
Proto.
Smiths. I don't even know if Mad Gear is that big. It's just really tall.
Yeah, it's the
like
OG
they have
ones,
that
like,
arch that you can fit your whole foot in.
Yeah, exactly.
For the foot jams.
Those are too much.
So yeah, just doing more development with the actual TDI neck geometry itself. I want to do. Right now, we're only making the 84-degree head tube. I think on my
84 is so good.
Was it my January, February, March? I missed the March update. The February update on the Proto River TGE feed. You know, I talked about doing like an 83. I also want to do an 85.
That'd be sick to play with, honestly.
And then depending, you know, how those are received, maybe even go back to like an 82, which is like kind of the old school like park geometry, and then maybe even forward to like an 86. So like
I would love to try that on.
Because
just to see, because I have no idea how like that would make a difference.
It's pretty predictable.
You know,
it's pretty predictable. Like I've been watching it for like 15 years now.
I feel like 82, you're gonna hit your
really.
balls too much. Because if you got a head tube that's back, I'm cupping my balls when I jump.
Yeah, but the thing is like a lot of people think that TDI is street.
Yeah.
And primarily, like our team and our riders have been street oriented, but like I didn't start as street. My first team wasn't street. Like the first Scooter Resource team, it was Twan, Anthony Bustos was the first dude I ever sponsored. He was a full-on park rider. Brian Murphy, Brandon Kilbury, they were full-on park riders.
Yep.
And then it wasn't until the SR AM team, Dylan Casson, Alex Stedman, Elmer Ferreras, that was like the beginning of the street presence.
Yeah.
Mostly, I mean, spearheaded by Dylan. He became like a prolific street rider, street filmer, editor.
Yeah.
He played a huge part in like kind of not re-envisioning, because I mean, he got on when it was still Scooter Resource. That was like 2007. And then in 2008, I launched Proto. So by the time Proto started, Proto kind of did start in this like street atmosphere. But like the way I looked at it is Proto was just a scooter company. Like I was just prototyping scootering.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't trying to make a street company. I wasn't trying to make a park company. I myself have never subscribed to street or park. I rode mega ramps. Like I just ride whatever seems fun to ride on.
Yeah, you ride scooter everything.
Yeah, like everything is a spot. Ride everything. Like I don't subscribe to the park street mentality, but
it's the way to do it.
But Proto has had like a super, I guess, I don't know,
street theme to it,
street reputation, yeah. And so I think in that sense, it is unfortunate, that something like TDI, like I don't view TDI as a street deck. I view TDI as a scooter deck. But because of Proto's reputation as a street brand, I feel like TDI has kind of been pigeonholed as a street-only deck. And I think when you do ride the current setup, it does have a street feel.
It's just heavier, because I feel like park now is getting in as many tricks as you can. Like that's park style right now for majority of people who do it. Do as many tricks as you can in the air and land. But you got Dylan on, and what I think's cool is like I want to see park riding kind of like grow up in the sense where it's less tricks, go higher, do things with more like
is less,
more style.
Less is more. I mean
that was Stan Smirnoff.
Yeah,
like he basically like paved the way for high,
less and high.
Grizz airs were so bad.
Yeah, like he didn't do a lot of tricks, but he rode bigger and gnarlier than. Still to this day, he rode. I mean, people like Dylan Morrison. You know, in my opinion, like obviously, like Dylan has like a pretty rich history in competing in park events and stuff, and he's an amazing park rider, but I just view him as like a scooter rider. Like he's just
he's
good all around, and he just he can flow a park, he can go fast, he can go high. He just like has the ability to just make simple scootering look amazing.
So good. Right. He rides like a biker, and I want to see more scooter riders like ride a park or a bowl like a bike. You big turn downs, inverts.
And so like TDI works for that.
It does.
Gone, Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like back in the origins of scootering, you were getting your like influence from either BMXing or skating, and you could kind of see like the two types of riders almost. But nowadays, it's just people are getting into scootering through seeing scootering, and it's a lot of that, as many tricks as you can do in an air or just big rails. There's not really too many people that scooter that do inverts, turn downs, especially. Nobody does a good turn down, bro. Like,
well, it's like
shout out Matt Ogle, but like I don't see him in any edits, like stuff like
Kilbury
that. Tuck no hander, like we got some stuff stewing.
People used to do it, but it's like those like they're tricks, but they're like
gone.
the old bow-legged turndowns.
Yeah.
That was like the Tick
Yeah.
era. Brandon
you can
Kilbury,
keep
Jesse
those, though, honestly.
Macaluso.
I want to see the legs like kind of straight.
Dan Barrett.
That was
Yeah.
a phase though. It didn't last
Yeah.
long, but that was definitely a phase. And I mean, they like whether you like them or not, they would tweak
Oh, yeah,
them
they'll
like
tweak
crazy.
the fuck out of them. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
No, exactly.
But yeah, like
I'd rather
Matt
see.
McKean say, I mean, you can pretty much guess like super heavily skate influence. Chema
Yeah.
Cardenas, you can pretty much assume super heavily BMX influence.
Exactly.
Like their
Mhm.
styles, like they were both, you know, quote unquote street riders, but like you can like Chema literally rides 4 pegs
Yeah.
and helped me develop deck ends and like just the geometry that works for
Yeah.
double pegs
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
50s. Like he was like instrumental in helping with that because of his influence from BMX. So like a lot of the grindability in a TDI deck is inspired, you know, from Chema through BMX. And then I had a
Yeah.
background in BMX too. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, scootering is a super awesome hybrid between skate and BMX,
The
which
best.
is
Yeah.
which is such a
It's
cool
the perfect
part about
hybrid.
Yeah, why I liked it. you
Yeah.
know? I was like, biking is sick, skating is sick. But when I hopped on a scooter, I was like, this is what I'm gonna ride.
Yeah.
Like it was other two out the window almost, you know.
But now there's like definitely like a whole generation of like riders that, like
Only
you
got
said,
into
only are
scootering.
watching scooter riders and watching scooter only tricks for like the first time. Well, I'm not like for the last few years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the early days, like we didn't have that. It was just like just trying, just experimentation and just like seeing what worked and like pulling influence from skate and BMX. And for me,
Exactly.
also like freestyle motocross and free riding. And
Yeah.
like, that's why I
Some
just like
whips,
love going
yeah.
down, like, yeah, single whips and big drops, like riding down mountains and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's like that. I just
Yeah.
loved riding like that.
That's
So.
sick.
The evolution is so cool
Yeah.
to see.
Yo,
Like-
what about sorry to cut
No,
you
you're
off.
good. It's cool.
TDI dirt scooter.
Thought about it.
That would be sick.
I thought about it, but I forget what the.
That's a big neck.
Dude, like
That's a
just
really
talking about
big
like
neck.
going down hills though made me realize it's like, dude, dirt scootering, like I used to love that shit too.
I think the
like,
problem with it is a dirt scooter wheel, I think is like 50 or 60 millimeters wide, something like that.
huge, yeah.
Yeah, and it's wider than a TDI dropout. So dirt almost. I mean, you technically could do like a TDI dirt spec
Mhm.
and just have wider extrusion, wider neck. But now you're talking about a new extrusion,
Yeah.
a new die, a new minimum order for all of these dirt scooter specs, a new neck. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about like adding a whole new level of compatibility to
Yeah.
like just for dirt.
Totally. Years
Rough
of R&D
guess.
and shit.
How expensive would it be to make a proto dirt scooter?
Like production investment or for somebody to
prototypes.
buy it?
Prototype it.
Oh,
How much would the prototyping cost? 50 grand?
Probably minimum, yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah,
Crazy.
And that's like where like
Yeah.
I haven't even like I don't even look at that because I have my plate full with like real scootering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So, you know, I want to do more wheel sizes. I got to do the fork, proto fork. I started with forks and we haven't had a fork in production in like 10 years. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Come
But it was
on,
like,
realistically,
full
how
circle.
long till the fork for the
I'm-
people? What's your guess?
I'm hoping
till
this
it's
year, but I've been
released?
saying this year for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I don't even like putting a date on it anymore. It's like
how many
to ask.
days out of the week do you work on the fork?
not a lot. I mean, it's
If you had to put an hour, like an amount of hours in a month on the proto fork, how much time you spend on
I mean, some months none at all.
it?
Yeah. It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that's never been done or tried. Well, maybe tried, poorly executed. But I feel like I figured some stuff out. But there's, I think the biggest disconnect, and one of the reasons why I like manufacturing in the United States and in-house is because it's easy to draw stuff on a computer, and put it all together and assemble it on your screen and be like, yeah, that's great, it works good. But like actually going out on the factory floor and manufacturing it, like how are you cutting your raw stock to length? How are you holding it in the machine? Did you design some feature that makes it super hard to hold or fixture? You know, you don't get that direct manufacturing feedback when you just draw something on the computer and ship it to a factory on the other side.
You just press a button and it poops it out somewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, like designing it on the computer is like the first 5% of the process. Like everything else that happens on the factory floor, like designing the tooling, designing the fixtures, which also, like, you know, the tooling and the fixtures, those have to be designed in SolidWorks. Then you have to go set up the machine to make the tooling and make the fixtures to hold the scooter parts to make the parts.
Dude.
And all of that requires programming and tool sets and speeds and feeds. And, you know, I mean, like drawing stuff on the computer is like, I don't want to discount it because that's like the origin of the idea.
Yeah.
But it's also like just a baby step compared to everything that it takes to run the factory.
Yeah.
Like production and scaling a production and streamlining production and increasing efficiencies, that is like 95% of running the business.
Yeah. Man, I see where like you can get a ton of flack from riders, because I know in the past, because like it took so long to do certain things, obviously you get flack for it.
Yeah.
But then it's frustrating because none of them have been in a machine shop or
it's exceptionally disappointing for the people who have visited the shop.
Yeah.
Who saw it firsthand, who gave me flack for it. Because you did see it. And that's why I always encourage riders, like I don't send drawings to China and wait for a container.
Yeah.
Like I go out there and I make it every single day.
Yeah.
And I encourage riders to come visit the factory. Like, even if you don't ride for me, it's like open door policy. Like, I encourage everybody to come to San Diego and check out the factory. We also have the Scooter Resource Museum, all the history, R&D, the first threadless fork, the first compression system,
Scooter
the
VHS.
first SCS, ICS, the first everything is basically like the first of everything in scootering almost is there, and you guys are welcome anytime. And you can see the factory.
I gotta go there. My pupils would get so big.
It's super cool. Like
is so dope.
I'm kind of desensitized to it a little bit because I like literally walk
see it every day.
Like it's like part of my commute from the office to the factory. Like I walk by it so much, I'm like numb to it. But when I like stop and appreciate it, I'm like, damn, this is pretty cool.
Fuck yeah,
totally. Yeah, bro.
Fuck yeah.
It's just straight relics, and it's all for the most part like your work. So, you know, it's really cool for me to see, at least. Even, you know, I'm like, damn, like seeing that and then going into the shop, and it's a cool experience, man.
I do have stuff that's not mine in there too, like stuff like designs that I like appreciated that I just thought were like cool moments and scooter technology. You know, like I'm not like my collection is not like I need everybody's SIG part and I need every part in every color, like so from like
I haven't seen it, but is it like monumental moments, like monumental parts?
Yeah, so in like the patent and trademarking world, there's two different types of patents that you can get. One is a design patent, one is a utility patent. So a design patent is based on the aesthetics of something, the way something looks, and the utility patent is the way something functions.
Okay.
So my museum is almost entirely like utility. It's how things work. I don't care what the color was, what the graphic was. It's like if you were colorblind and you were just looking at a shape, you know, like how did that work mechanically? That's the type of stuff that I like, because that is compatibility. That is the R&D development of, you know, finding the best geometries and finding the way all the pieces and parts work together the best ways. Like that is the utility of it.
Making the best scooter you can make. Yeah. That's what you like. Yeah, you like.
And then whatever color you make it. Yeah, whatever color you make it, whatever graphic you make it, like that, it is honestly, it's irrelevant to me. I don't care. I don't care what color it is. I don't care what graphics on it. It's like, what is the utility of the design? And I feel like a lot of companies, they just put a new paint job and a new graphic on the same old scooter, and they are focused way more on design than they are utility and compatibility and performance. And so, yeah, anyways, in the museum, there is stuff that is not mine that I thought was just cool concepts that were brought to market, whether they had a future or not. I often say, you know, like innovation can go, or just because you're innovating doesn't mean you're innovating in the right direction.
Yeah, totally.
Like you can be innovative and be innovating in the wrong direction. Like innovation just means that you're trying something that's never been tried before, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's
trying the right thing,
the way that it's going to end up going. So I have some innovative stuff that I kept it because
didn't work.
It went in a weird direction, and I'm like, you know what? That's probably not going to be around for too much longer. I want to hang on to that one.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Well, that's awesome, dude. So what are you mainly focused on now then, like with Proto? Where most of your hours going when you're in the shop, just kind of fulfilling like orders or kind of working on something in particular?
Just getting better at running the machine shop.
Yeah.
Honestly, just it's like building it was one challenge. Learning how to run it is like a whole nother challenge.
Do you make anything else in there just for profit?
Not currently, but we are definitely talking about it because the scooter market is like pretty hard up right now. Yeah. Not just scootering, like all sporting goods are like it's a pretty bad economic climate right now for all recreational activities. So
I've heard. I was talking, Ian does like sales for Triad McDonald, and I was talking to him about it a little bit, and he was like just telling me how big of a rut it is in terms of orders.
Yeah, it's not just scooters, it's skate, BMX, kayak, surfing, rock climbing, you know, like during COVID, sales went through the roof for everybody.
Because they had nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do. You weren't allowed to go on vacation. You were getting stimulus checks. You just had money and time. And so people went crazy buying toys, basically. And then once everybody went back to reality, they stopped using their new toys and the money stopped flowing. And then inflation started hitting. So it's just kind of this perfect storm where supply, and then all the brands saw this insane demand, so everybody increased production, and so demand went up when supply was down, so everybody increased supply, and then once they started getting stock, demand fell off a cliff for all of the reasons just listed. And it's just kind of like a perfect storm where supply and demand completely crossed, and
swap battery. You keep going.
Yeah, so supply and demand just like completely crossed, and so now there's just a lot of saturation in the market.
Right. Yeah, that's tough, man.
I think I'm like 400 milligrams of caffeine deep at this point.
Damn.
Coming up on 500.
Oh, shit.
I don't know how you do that so late.
Yeah, I just I don't drink anymore. I not permanently. I have a pact with my brother to neither one of us are drinking until we base jump.
I was gonna ask if y'all ever if y'all actually went skydiving.
I still need like 85 more skydives. I'm at like 115 right now, and I need like 85 more to be able to start doing my base jump training. I mean, technically, base jumping is unregulated, so you could go and just like do it.
Yeah.
Now, but like
sketchy.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind following the loose guidelines that they put out for it. But yeah, me and my brother, when I'm able to take a base course, then we're gonna have a celebratory drink. After we base jump. So
that's
you got to
so
after
good.
That.
I drank at my wedding though. I took one day off for my wedding. I got married
Yes,
Got
sir.
married in
Yes, sir.
October of 22, so I'm at like a year and a half. So I drank at my wedding and drank the night that my dog died in January.
R.I.P. Dobby.
Understandable. Yeah.
So that's
Got
the only
to.
2 times I've broken it. But I gave my brother a pass or 2 also.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're like pretty on it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for a year and a half, 2 days is totally chill in my eyes, you know.
Yeah.
And those are 2 like monumental days. It's not just like you had a rough day at work or something. You
Weddings
know?
and
It's
funerals.
Like, yeah,
man.
Weddings and funerals.
2 perfectly fine
2 times
occasions
you gotta
to
pull
crack
one
one
out.
up.
and
Yeah,
crack one.
totally, man.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm not bummed about it. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely was bummed about it, but like not bummed about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's good.
If you had unlimited money, what would you do right now with Proto?
Buy a building.
Yeah.
I would buy a factory building and buy like actually state of the art equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am obsessed, like wildly obsessed with just like watching. I mean, how it's
Machining
made
videos.
is yeah. How it's
Seeing
made
the
is like
machining, like CNC machines come out and all that kind of shit.
oh yeah, like I went to this big there's a I want to say biannual, but I think that's twice a year. It's every 2 years there's a big manufacturing convention called IMTS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 2 million square feet of just like machines and tools in Chicago, and it's like it's like Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like you walk through that and you're just like, oh my God, I'm such an amateur.
Yeah.
I'm such an amateur, and all of my equipment is junk.
Yeah.
But I know how to use it and it gets the job done. But like, yeah, if money were no object, I would buy a building and I would fill it with actual state of the art equipment.
Yeah.
And then there's the learning curve that goes along with that, which, you know, there's no like money can't buy experience. That's the one thing that you cannot pay for is experience. So, you know, like there's no substitute for just like getting out there and learning, or, and, you know, I guess if money were no object, I would hire experts and shadow them, or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would just be like,
to make scooters.
hey, hey, guy that knows everything that I don't, I have a bunch of money. Just make this thing for me now. I guess like that's the dream.
Yeah.
You know,
if you could like go into SpaceX and be like, I want you guys to start whipping up these scooters.
Yeah, I mean, Elon's got the dream team, the dream scenario. I mean, he worked his ass off for it. Still, I mean, the guy's like
just working.
Like the definition of an overachiever. I mean, the guy never stops.
A robot.
He really is a robot. So you know,
just got to get to Rogan. We're in Austin. We just got to get to him.
Yeah.
Like,
one step close. I'm doing my first Austin podcast. This is my baby step.
Yeah.
That would be pennies for him to be like, yeah, you can use this little area.
Yeah. Dude.
Be crazy. The Comedy Mothership just got hit by hail.
Really?
And I do hail claims for work, like roofing sales. So
you're so
Rogan, listen to me. So your building is fucked. Got smashed by hail. Call me. Run a claim on it. Maybe do the Tesla factory too.
Yeah.
And then we'll build scooter parts in the Tesla factory.
That'd be so awesome.
All right, I'm done.
Real alien tech at that point, working with Elon.
Yeah. That is alien. Put it in, send a proto scooter to space.
Dude, that would be pretty cool.
Imagine Elon, one of Elon's fucking 27 sons is just, they become obsessed with scootering.
Do they put a roof rack on the Cybertruck with a proto strap too?
Yeah. Dude,
send it out after the Roadster.
Yo. You can only dream so much, you know. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, definitely like in my mind's eye, in my head, I can see the scooter factory of the future.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I mean, we're talking like millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Ride Proto.
Ride Proto.
Come on.
Ride Proto.
Come on,
Ride
dude.
Proto.
Let's get this thing going.
As real as it gets.
Yeah.
We're what is the Bernie Sanders? We are once again asking for your financial contribution.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, so
Love to see that. Oh my god.
It's just a time and money. Everything's a time and money equation, and right now I got a lot of time and not a lot of money because that's where the industry is. And like, is it going to be? I mean, it's already been down for a couple of years. How many more years is it going to be down? And
right,
to make investments like that in state of the art equipment, I mean, you can't be making those investments off of a few hard years. You have to be making those investments off of a few good years. So how long is it going to be until things get better? And then how many of those good years will it take to build that factory? Like, that's just like an unknowable equation, really.
Dude, if the world doesn't end, scootering will blow up. If something is around long enough, it shines eventually. All it has to do is stay alive for like 10 more years.
I don't know. I mean, no, it's not. The thing is like, scootering's not going anywhere, skateboarding's not going anywhere, BMX isn't going anywhere. But like, when was the golden age of action sports? Is that ahead of us or is that behind us?
Let's hope it's ahead. Yeah, I don't know.
Again, it's hard to say.
For scootering, I feel like it's ahead of us. I feel like we're in those years. It's like, this is where it is scootering so refined right now compared to 5 years ago. Just a watching standpoint, like, I just like watching scootering better now than in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the riding is at an all-time for sure. I think the level of professionalism and marketability is not where it would need to be.
Yeah.
But also, like, with professionalism and marketability, the types of people who are super and I'm not talking about scooter tricks. I'm talking about everything you do off the scooter. If you're a super professional and marketable individual, typically those type of people are going to expect compensation.
Yeah.
And if there's no compensation, then the industry is not going to attract the people that it needs. It's like a catch-22.
Like, it needs like scootering needs like a superstar. Like, we have our Willie, but that's like the only one. Like, it really does.
He's a biker now.
He is a biker now.
Like, his attention is definitely on biking.
Yeah. It just needs, it needs like that personality. Because I feel like it really is like the riders at like the stuff you do that's all behind the scenes, and I feel like it gets overlooked a lot, but then it's like, it's crazy how that one person can change everything. Or like those like three like right now it's like Yuto and skateboarding, like, transcended the sport. Olympic gold medalist, and then you got like Hanija helped blow it up in the early days, or like Sheckler. You just need more like those characters. I feel like
we haven't had a Tanner Fox in
a while.
Damn near 10 years.
I know.
Like,
and
2016.
I feel like that brought the wrong target audience. Well, it got people into scootering though, but
it brought a lot of people into it. And they may have been younger, getting like those completes we were talking about. But like, how many of them are still riding?
I don't think there's such a thing as a brought in like the wrong audience.
That's true.
Yeah.
As
like,
long as
kids are like the kids that, though, like Dakota and Claudius and Tanner and Raymond Warner, like the kids that they brought in, like, those kids are they're just excited to be on a scooter.
They find the love for it, and then they're like,
but is it their job to find it, or is it our job to show it to them? And I think a lot of everybody expects them to find the way instead of like going out and like showing them the way.
I don't think you can make people find it, but you can get them into it, which gives them the chance to find it at least.
Show them the community. Those dudes, show them like the love.
Did it.
Those
dudes on it. Like,
those dudes are responsible. Like, no matter what you think of their image or their presentation, like, they were responsible for bringing more kids into this industry, and through that, helping more brands sell more scooter parts to pay for more teams and more travel for all the people that have the cooler names and reputations and styles.
Core.
Like, I mean, the core people benefited from Claudius. Like, they'll never admit to it. Probably not. I don't know. I mean, it's foolish to not acknowledge that somebody like that brought in millions of kids.
Yeah,
because he did.
Crypto course, guys. I'm a millionaire now.
I'm not advocating for. I'm just stating that in their media prime,
They
and
brought a lot
hype.
of
They
people.
brought a lot of
I've
kids
met
in, and it benefited all of scootering. And
totally.
you don't have to say you were a fan. You don't have to say you loved the image, but you cannot disregard the
Yeah,
positive impact that they had for the sport.
100%.
And now we don't have them, and now everybody's like, we need somebody like this. But
Yeah.
last time we had them, we ran them out of the
We
sport.
shit on him, yeah.
It's
Even
like,
jacked out, like
Yeah.
I feel like he was the opposite of all of them, but they still were like bullying him and
Bullied the
shit,
shit
and
out of
like
him.
kicked him out of the
Bullied the
scene. And
shit
it's
out
like
of him.
these fools want their cake and they want to eat it.
I could be
and it can't happen.
I could be misquoting this, but I'm pretty sure Riley Maltreese, the OD Buggins.
Yeah.
I want to say he got into scootering because of like the jacked out vlogs.
Yeah,
That's what got him into it.
I used
Maybe.
to love them, honestly.
Now
They
look
were
at 'em.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't watch him that much,
Uh-huh.
honestly.
yeah, he
but
was huge. Didn't he get like his whole channel removed though? Or he
I don't
lost
know.
something at some point.
him and Kai and that guy Wesma, like
Yeah.
I know they were all doing it, and I'm not sure what really happened to Jack, but he just, I think, deleted a lot of his shit.
Yeah.
He was just so over like being just
in the
like,
public eye.
famous,
Yeah.
like
It is
whatever you want to
famous.
call it. It's
Yeah.
like
It also is like a very unsustainable way of life.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like
totally.
the daily video updates and like your fans turn on you viciously if you miss one day. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, this is no way to live.
You
Yeah,
have
fuck
to
that.
ride and then film it and then edit it and then post it. That's a full day every day.
Eat,
Mhm.
sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
Exactly. They were riding the train every day and stuff too, like they didn't have cars. They're like having to ride to the train station and do all this stuff, and it was a grind.
Oh,
Like those fools were grinding. And Kai still is I've heard some numbers he makes from his YouTube, and it's dope to see that like it's paying off for him, because it definitely is hard work, and
it's
have to
it's
be
a
consistent.
massive amount of effort to do that. A
Yeah,
massive amount
totally.
of effort to do that.
yeah. But he's self-sustaining himself now. He's able to scooter and travel and do what he loves. So
Yeah.
if you want it, go out and get it.
You can go get it.
It takes fucking years and effort and consistency,
Well, I
but
think
you
the-
can
the-
achieve it.
That whole world too. Like, I mean, if you like those people, this is, I'm also like very curious to see like where the whole like social media world and world of influencers goes, because it's like all the usernames are taken, all the followers have been subscribed, like if you're
Mhm.
trying to break into that now, like when YouTube vlogging was blowing up, when Instagram was a relatively new platform, like you could get on, make a name for yourself, get a ton of followers, but like now, if you grinded the same way they grind, you're going to get a fraction
Yeah.
of what they got, just because the platforms are older, they're more saturated.
Yep.
Whoop.
Yeah.
More
You
saturated.
have to be unique for sure, or like have some sort of edge. If you're just doing the same thing as the last other, 500 people, you probably will never, unfortunately, get too far, or it will take, 10 plus years to get there, because it's just going to be a very slow incline of viewers and subscribers, whatever. But
And
I
can you
still
afford to
think-
grind that hard with
for
a
nothing,
a fraction of the
for- yeah,
compensation that those guys were
Yeah.
getting?
has to be a real passion project.
Yeah,
For real.
so it's going to be interesting to see like how that whole social media world and influence world progresses. Like I was pushing social media pretty hard for a little while there. Like when, like I just watch what works.
Mhm.
And so, when doing daily posts was getting good engagement and good feedback, we were doing that. But once, like, some of the brands were doing like 3-4 posts a day, and they got, 500,000 subscribers by doing that. But then you were seeing their engagement rate just plummet, because people are like, okay, like this is just spam at this point. Like, we don't want to see all this. And it was like turning people off. And so you just have to like watch that. Like, how are people responding? Like, is their user experience, like, are you making their user experience better by flooding them with your content, begging them to buy your stuff? And if you're not, then you're just like contributing to just a negative
void.
Just the void. That's a great way to
It's
put
just
it.
content farming.
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
Yeah.
That's calling it spam is such a good way to describe it.
It's the design versus the utility.
Spam
Back to
posting.
that.
Yeah, quality over quantity. I can put a camera on a chair and sit on your couch with a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people like it's like if it's overproduced, it's like it's unappealing because it's just like, okay, you're trying too hard to sell me now.
Yeah.
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 So
yeah.
You got to be genuine for sure. Like, yeah. I hope it goes back to the point where it's not just like content farming. It really is. There's more art in action sports.
Depends on the brand nowadays. I feel like
True. I guess
there's
your
some that are
image.
doing both.
True.
Or some that are doing some that are doing others.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to keep evolving. It's just going to be a hybrid. You know, like video parts, I think are still important. Are they the only thing that matter? No. Are full lengths ever going to be a thing again?
Not till there's a lot of money in the sport.
Only if it's a passion project by a company owner that really wants to do it. You know, like all the full lengths that I participated in.
Yeah.
I like those were Andrew Broussard projects, not proto projects. I mean, we put the proto name on them, but like I did those. Like from a business standpoint, they're like totally unjustified.
Yeah.
But I did them because I loved it. I wanted to do it. I grew up watching videos and I wanted scootering to have that, and I truly enjoyed going on the trips and filming and editing the videos. So I did that for scootering and for myself. You know, I genuinely enjoyed it. But like now that I'm like heavily, you know, business factory focused, just finally got my hardware out of my ankle after a bad crash many years ago that definitely like stunted my riding probably permanently. You know, I'm not.
Don't manifest that, dude.
We rebuke that.
Don't manifest that.
Well,
how old are you?
38.
30. You are pretty old. I'm just kidding. Fucking look at dude, you know who Ryan DeCenzo is?
Yeah.
You see the part he just put out?
I have not.
40? It's crazy. He's jumping off fucking roofs and shit.
I mean, Tony Hawk released a new vert part at like 50 something, you know, so like I'm not saying that I'm like done, but it was a huge setback.
Do the right things. Do you got a cold plunge?
Rogan.
Yeah.
I'm in Austin. Let me come use your cold plunge. You gotta fix this.
Need some stem cells or something.
Yeah. Red light therapy, EMF.
Yeah. Get us right for real, Rogue. Come on.
Scooter riders need to start training like fucking UFC athletes.
That's the other thing too. Like scooter riders, like, you know, none of them are actually
take care of their bodies.
None of them are actually professional athletes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
7-Eleven hot dogs.
Even the professional athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them, except maybe Chris Ferris. Chris Ferris has got the Mamba mentality.
But even him, I think he's like retiring or retired again, or what's he doing?
Retired again.
Yeah. So it's like the best of
Pulling
us.
a Tom Brady.
The best of us. It's like. Yeah.
Somebody said did you see that post he made? He posted a picture of Tom Brady.
Someone.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Comeback king.
Yeah.
Who said this? Yeah. Posted a picture of Tom Brady. I didn't actually see it. Someone talked to me about this, but then someone commented and was like, "Get him back on the pod to explain this." So we were talking to him about his cryptic captions.
Yeah.
Just randomly post a photo of Brady. It makes sense now. I see the vision now, dude.
Yeah.
That's so
But I mean,
funny.
that's like a lifestyle. Like if you're gonna eat like that, exercise like that, train like that. Again, it's like, you know, if like I was saying, like all the things that you do off the scooter, that's what makes a real professional. But real professionals, to live like that, there has to be some type of compensation.
Yeah.
Or just an ungodly amount of passion and dedication. Like that's the only other alternative.
And they gotta have a job too or something.
Well, and no matter what,
side,
you gotta be sustaining your you have to have a livelihood coming from somewhere else. You know, like you work all day and then you go meal prep and go to the gym and train and ice bath and sauna and stretching and, you know, I mean, like, you can do that and you can not make a lot of money doing it if that is just the thing that completes you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
And there's a lot of people like you look at the running world, like people who run marathons, like nobody makes anything off of that. And they push themselves to oblivion just to do it. You know, just to see how far they can go, how hard they can push themselves. And they get nothing out of it except personal fulfillment.
Yeah.
True.
And so if that is what you're willing to do, then you can do that in scootering or skate or BMX. Because, I mean, we're all in the same boat.
That's so true, honestly. Never compared it like that.
Yeah, man. And there's some, I love like an everyman. I don't see it a lot in scootering because it's not as grown, but like somebody who has like a hard everyman's job and then goes and like films a part or something. Like Mike, I guess Mike's a good example, Homan, because he would work for fucking 9 months, save up, and then just go on the road to film a video part just because he wanted to put out a kick-ass video part, like
Dan
something
Barrett.
to have. Dan Barrett, yeah.
True.
I watched a documentary about some skater. I forget his name, but he was like a fucking. Actually, there's so many scooter riders that do this, and I just disregarded it. But like
most over the age of 20.
Literally all of them. I'm retarded. Jack Mount does it, like doing like I don't know, going out, fucking making your bread, laying tile or some shit, and then going and filming a part and doing it like that. It's so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling to like put the money you make doing that into like doing something you love and you don't get any benefit out of. Definitely healthy for the soul.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, it just like I think, you know, the problem, but maybe it's scootering. I don't think it is. Maybe it's generational. Maybe is the more likely culprit, but it's, and this could be applied, you know, to scootering, to all the other action sports. You know, it's like, what can you do for scootering versus what can scootering do for you?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like ask not what you can do for, or what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot of young riders, they want the fame and the perceived fortune that doesn't exist. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, totally.
So, you know, like if you don't love it, you're in the wrong.
You're gonna fuck yourself over.
If you don't love this, you're pursuing the wrong thing. If you think you're gonna make a living off of this, like you got it, your heart has to be in it. You just have to want to do it. It has to be part of you. You have to identify with it. It has to be part of your identity. And if you get something, if you get some free parts, a trip, a check, if you're really lucky, I mean, count your blessings.
Yeah.
Truly.
Count your blessings.
Truly.
Yeah. Dude, I can't believe I said there aren't a lot of everyman scooter riders. That's literally every scooter rider. Sorry, I'm just thinking
For the
about
most
this.
part,
Yeah.
I think
you're
there's
good.
some that just have money flowing from somewhere.
Yeah.
True, somewhere else, but there's so many.
Some work at Starbucks or some shit too, you know, like
That's every man's job. Being a server, if you're a bartending and then you go out and get clips on the weekend, respect.
Yeah, I mean, if
All
you're
right,
working a
take that
normal
back.
job to film on the weekends, like, good on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do it too much, but need to stop comparing scootering to skateboarding. I did that a lot on this pod. That's another. You're very good about saying don't do that.
Am I?
Yeah, I do it too much.
Yeah. It's just a
Fair
way, it's just older. It has a lower barrier of entry. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in all of the action sports, but they all have different barriers of entry. They all have different histories and development phases. And while there are a lot of similarities with scootering also has a lot of very distinct differences.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some things you can compare and some things just are totally different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen. How are we feeling?
What are we thinking? Yeah. I feel like
we're almost at 2 hours.
That's sick.
That's pretty damn good. 10:41.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I feel like even I learned a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like we've talked numerous times, but I feel like even I was like able to learn some cool like just stuff about the history of you or the brand or just, you know, it's been cool, man.
Yeah.
I feel
Trying to
like a lot
think
of
if there
people will
was
like
any.
this.
I mean,
Yeah,
I could like have this
totally.
conversation for like another
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could bring
Yeah.
up one more
24
thing and
hours
just
Yeah.
go
straight.
Yeah,
another
exactly.
5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
I mean, there's so much stuff that like we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta come back. You just gotta visit your brother in San Marcos more.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Would be
Man,
nice.
this is so nice on the chat. Give it up for the couch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm honestly comfy.
Holy shit.
This is a big upgrade.
That table
Um,
sucks dick. How did we
yeah.
ever do anything on that table?
Just same way I get the clip, just fucking
true.
go for it until it's over.
Damn.
Like, till I fucking get that motherfucker.
Punish
Like,
yourself until it's
yeah,
over.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, like, dude, once it's over, you're good. You know, it's not the worst, but like after an hour or two, it's like, fuck.
Damn, I found a
Get me out of
way
that.
better way to hold the microphone. I wish I'd been doing that the whole time.
New
It kind
tech.
of rocked my hand.
Nice wiggle.
New tech.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, I'm the only one flexing the handle.
Yeah. Fucking
Sorry.
heady ass motherfucker. Dude.
Oh yeah, I think one thing that I didn't really finish was just like going back to like TDI head tube geometry, like the more slack back angles, you know, like the 83, 82, you know, like back in the day when we were bolting razors, it was like at 81.
Right.
Or I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what bolt combo you use, you could probably get like under 80. And so the farther slack back it is, the more responsive it whips, scooter flips and everything. Like it like reduces the center of rotation. So I think you were saying something about, you know, like it's heavier, but it's also about balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so in equal, you know, say a scooter weighs, we're just going to go nice whole number, 10 pounds. If you have 10 pounds with an 84 degree head tube versus 10 pounds with an 81 degree head tube, when you pick it up, it's going to feel exactly the same. When you start riding it and whipping it and throwing it around, 81 degrees is going to be way more responsive. So I think the kind of going back to that misconception of people thinking that TDI is a street only scooter, it's just because, you know, the history of the brand, the street following, we have catered to the street geometry, but that is kind of like the development phase that I want to go into, you know, expanding that geometry so people can, you know, ride a 5-inch space stack and a 5.5 Eclipse, which are like more park style sizes with like a 82 degree head tube angle and actually have a TDI setup that feels like a park scooter.
Yeah.
Because it like TDI is not street or park. It's just a method of compatibility.
True. Yeah.
So it technically can be anything. So that's kind of like where I want to go with that. Just show people that like it isn't just a park scooter, but you can't tell them it's not just a park scooter until you like show them.
Yeah, who's getting on the park team?
Or street scooter, sorry.
Gotta get some park rippers on that thing.
I mean, Dylan Morrison was kind of like
that's
he
was first one.
He was the, you know, I really believe he's like one of the best all around scooter riders ever.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So he was kind of like a choice pick to showcase that not only can this thing be ridden in the street, this thing can be ridden in the park.
Yeah.
But I think it is going to be, I mean, Dylan, it just so happens that Dylan is a very all-around rider and likes that steeper head tube geometry. I think to like really bring in more of the park crowd, we're going to have to get more geometry options, more of that slack back head tube to really appeal to that park scene. And you know who those riders will be more. It's crazy, right? Like proto park riders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even like talking about
you
proto
are
park
going
riders.
to have to make it a little bit lighter. If you want like
I'll cut a bunch of holes out, but we can't
Yeah.
change the profiles.
Yeah.
The profiles are the profiles because once
Could
you
you-
get that extrusion, you're locked in.
I get that. Have you thought about a park profile? Making one?
I have thought about it, but I would need to see like some adoption in the sport before I invest in it. So I'm more than willing to take the profiles that we have and, you know, cut holes all over them. And we did that with like team prototypes back in the day. Like the scooter that I filmed Armageddon on was like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
And that took off like a pound, you know, so we can do that. And it will make it more appealing for park riders. And then ultimately, yeah, I mean, like anything's possible. Like if we see that people are into the idea, into the concept, into the neck geometry, then we could do like a more park profile. But again, you know, like I am stubborn in the idea that I feel like despite the fact that park and street are viewed differently, and up until now, you know, like a park setup is way different than a street setup. I really truly feel that there's like one ultimate scooter design
for everything.
Yeah, like one scooter that can just like do it all. Like you look at skateboarding and it's a twin tip, 7-ply maple, like, you know, like no matter whether you're street, park, vert, you know, they're set, like granted some of them are wider and longer, but like the setup is identical in all of skateboarding.
Right.
Unless you're just like doing the throwback, like
you want a crazy shape board or something, but
yeah, but like 99% of skateboarding has like settled on this shape, this style, and so that is really what I'm looking for. And BMX is the same way, you know. BMX has like over the years, I mean, stuff still changes, but they're like really settling in on, you know, what is the best possible setup.
Yeah.
So I just really want to like keep focusing on that, like rather than catering towards street or catering towards park, I rather just keep developing what I think is going to be the best scooter and hope that park and street go, this is the best scooter.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love for everyone to agree to one size. Like, not obviously there's different body types, but like how it looks on them. Like right below the crotch, enough foot space to where your feet don't look cramped, but not huge, not tiny. Just right where it needs to be.
Yeah.
That's a style critique.
Yeah.
I don't care. As long my only job is to make sure that the size of the parts that you want to ride are available. And if you want to ride bars that are questionably too tall for you or too short for you, or a deck that's questionably too long or too short for you,
still buying.
Yeah.
As long as I'm producing what people want, then my job is complete. And then it's everybody else's job to figure out how to ride it.
Yeah.
So
fair.
True.
We're gonna tell them how to ride it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys can do that. I'm not
Definitely.
I bet.
Freestyle.
Yeah.
Freestyle. You're free to look good or bad. That's your choice.
True.
Mm-mm.
I had one thing kind of like back to like cutting the deck up a little bit. What do you think about just like, you know, in the deck where the brake is on the bottom, just like making that longer or like easier to access the bolts, I guess. I feel like that would save a little weight and be just a little easier.
So I have a brake design which is like very high on the priorities, because I think it's definitely like not having something that's easier to use on the decks is kind of holding the system back.
Right.
In the older models, we did have the brake hardware cut out.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing that. And that's like very like going back to like how I was talking about, like you have a design on the computer, you send it to a factory in China, you have no idea the manufacturing processes, steps, procedures. But when I started manufacturing the decks myself, I was like, to do that one opening, that adds a whole nother
step in the process.
Setup, you know, it adds a whole nother level of complexity just to put that one hole in. If you get rid of that, you streamline deck making. And so, oh, puppy.
Gosh, puppy.
She needs to go potty.
So by getting rid of that, we actually were able to streamline making decks.
Right.
And so when you're talking about made in America pricing, you know, anything that you can do to cut costs, you have to do. And if there's an alternative, so if we no longer have access to brake hardware, then we have to have another solution, which we haven't released yet, but kind of jumped the gun on it, but it was like the inevitable future. So the brake that will be coming out has integrated threads, or like fender brake, like basically, so UBS, the universal braking system, that's kind of like what I coined, that adjustable slot. But any UBS compatible attachment, so if it's a brake, a fender, or whatever, they're going to have integrated threads, so you don't need a nut on the bottom. You don't need a wrench on the bottom. It's just going to be an Allen key from the top. So long term, we're just going to eliminate the need for that altogether. Like, rather than put it back in, we're just going to eliminate the need for it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Wow.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's always just been like my one thing about the deck, is that like my fender's been loose for years, and I just like keep it because I don't care if my scooter's dialed. But yeah, that was like the one thing I wanted to ask about, because I did hear that like the older ones used to have it, so I was just kind of curious about the process there.
The original Proto brakes actually had integrated threads.
Really?
Yeah, so Proto has never made a brake that needed a nut, technically. But we also haven't made brakes for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of like forks.
Yeah.
We did it, and then we stopped doing it because all of my attention went into wheel production and SCS production and keeping up with TDI, R&D, and like keeping up with industry trends and, all that development. So some stuff fell by the wayside, but still very much on the to-do list.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the brake and the 30 mil protos I'm stoked for sure.
The 30 mil wheels are very good. Yes. Very, very, very good.
You know what's crazy? I've ridden a bunch of 30 wides, and the best pair of 30 wides I've ridden are Fusion.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ridden the rivers?
Nope.
That's why.
Sure, I'll try them. I've ridden North, Tilt, Fusion, one other one I can't. Radix. Radix was poop. That one sucked. Fusion wins so far. So hopefully River takes the cake.
It will.
Okay, there we go. Or vinyl. We'll see. It's gonna be y'all probably be pretty close.
River. I have to say River.
I know.
But I also believe
15% off at Vinyl Scootering TenFour. It's our sponsor, dude.
Get us some money for sure. Get us some checks for sure.
But God, River wheels are great. And if I wasn't riding 30 wides, I'd be on River wheels. Or vinyls, because they sent them to us. And Adrian, you're sick. God, I got too many people to please right now, man.
No, very well. Yeah, I honestly have rode Proto wheels or Rivers and the headset for a long time. So that was like something I was really excited about. Was just like being able to have some of those wheels. Because I haven't rode the vinyls. I hear there's like hype behind them, but for my scootering career, I was on AO for a long time, and before that, I was just riding like district stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't had much experience testing out really any brands except like 3 or 4. And so, based on what I've rode for a long time, I believe Proto is better, or River, than what I've tried. But
I mean, they're sister brands. They're made on the same production line side by side. So slightly different durometers, slightly different mold profiles, but I mean, same. I mean, the Buff core technology, like my nickname early on in the sport was Buff. So, I mean, that's like literally like my signature on those wheels, Buff core technology, Buff bars,
Mm-hmm.
that was, when you see Buff core technology, that means, Proto and River share the same technology.
Right.
And we're the only ones that do it. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sick, yeah. What is your favorite part to produce? Or like the one you have the most fun like designing or creating?
Probably, I've spent so much time on wheels. I mean, that's kind of like the flagship product. I feel like I probably have the most fun doing like wheel development, like just like all the science behind like the new 115 profile. I mean, that like just that analysis was like insanely in depth. It's a very different shape, extremely different shape that kind of caught everybody off guard. It kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't like trying to go for that. I was like, I did a study to see what the best possible shape for a scooter wheel was. And it was like very in-depth study, and that is where it took me. So that's what, like I often say, like I don't really design the parts. I allow the parts to be designed. And that's just like watching parts that have worn out, parts that are broken, analyzing the weak spots, analyzing the wear patterns, and then just making improvements on those areas kind of dictates how the part ends up looking, or, the shape of something, the thickness of something, the profile of something. So I guess wheels was probably the most fun just because there was like a lot of different factors to analyze. And it's one of the ones that like it has wear. So as the diameter changes, the pattern changes, the contact patch changes. So there's like a lot more factors that you don't get in other parts. So that was kind of fun. And then you have like, depending on durometer, like the hardness of the wheel, like there's different stress and like strain loads on the core and the bond area where the urethane sticks to the core, so there's a lot of factors that happen in wheel design. So that's probably like the most fun one. In production, I really, I don't know, TDI, like necks and decks, like just the fact that like I have a machine that I set up, I tooled, I programmed, I designed all the parts, and like just being able to work with that whole system and like control every like minute detail of that whole system, like that's probably like the most fulfilling one.
Right.
Not necessarily the most fun one.
Yeah.
I've had some very late nights and some very strenuous nightmare scenarios getting that one across the finish line, but that like getting that one across the finish line was the most fulfilling.
Hell yeah.
So
the 6
was a milestone. Yeah, the Saturn 2. So the Saturn 1 was made in another machine shop. I used to use other machine shops until we got ours finished. But the Saturn 2 was the first one that got made in-house. Yeah. So that very first Saturn 2 that came off the machine, that was like a real milestone.
You have it?
I do. It's in the museum.
Yeah.
With the first neck that came off too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of the stuff that I keep, like the milestone pieces.
Yeah. The first.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Let's see.
One I was thinking of is we talked to Adrian about how long it took him to make his mold, and he said it took 2 years to find like the perfect mold. How long when you first started making wheels until you pulled them out and you were like, oh my God, I did it. Got a wheel that you liked and you were happy with.
I think I would need more information about that because that doesn't make sense to me.
I guess it was just it took him 2 years, and obviously
to
not
find the formula.
Not like a straight 2 years every single day. Work another job, trying to figure it out, make it work. But yeah, just took him a really long time to like get the mold that he wanted.
I think what you're saying, Austin, the formula, because
the whole wheel when he got the first wheel that was like perfect to him, like it came out looking perfect. It was
the mold. The mold is like just the shape of the wheel.
Okay, my bad. The actual urethane formula is what I meant.
I mean, I worked with people, and I still work with people that are, I believe, like the best in the business. So the trial and error. It was just a lot of trial, not a lot of error.
Yeah.
I say that our biggest problem was with bonding.
Okay.
Like getting urethane to stick to aluminum, that can be extremely challenging. So, I mean, a lot more of my time and attention was spent on the bonding than the actual formulas. Essentially, they have, their formulas dialed.
Yeah.
And then I say, it's like, here's my cores.
Yep.
give me wheels to test, blind test. And then I just, made notes for
which ones you like. Well,
yeah, like this one is too hard, too slick, too soft, too slow, not enough rebound, So just tried a bunch of different suppliers, a bunch of different formulas, and just like, and always blind test. Like, you don't ever want to know what you're actually testing. Otherwise, like, that influences your results. Like, if you can't tell the difference, then what is the difference?
Yeah.
You have to literally be able to physically quantify the performance. So I mean, that took a little time, but like way more time was spent just with the whole production workflow on the bonding. And I mean, that is, I got gray hairs from that very early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some very, 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 very extremely challenging times.
Yeah, that sounds like hell.
It is hell.
Paid off.
Yes, sir.
Got some really good wheels now.
Yeah, I mean, we do have that pretty well dialed, but I mean, it is, we still have like very stringent QC on that stuff. I mean, it is like, it has to be meticulous. And again, going back to made in the USA, if you're going to charge made in the USA prices, it has to be the best. It has to last longest. It has to be everything people hope and dream of.
Yeah.
If you have a reputation and somebody's been waiting and saving to finally get their hands on the new Proto grippers or the new River 115s, like, if they're disappointed in the performance of that product, we have failed.
Right.
So
totally.
And I mean, that's with all the products.
Yeah.
But wheels are definitely the most.
They're the easiest to break. They go the fastest.
Yeah, and they're the easiest to mess up manufacturing.
That's why I asked for the blems.
Yeah, and we have a lot of blems because there's been a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
but those don't make it to market.
Those. Yeah. They're right the same.
Yeah.
They may not look the same, but I know. So they're gonna ride just
They're
fine.
still good wheels, just cosmetic defects.
Totally.
I don't even like calling it defects. It's like literally just like scratch,
misprint or some
little bubble,
shit. Yeah.
smeared print. I mean, they're still like perfectly good wheels.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember the last time I've taken a brand new. I don't know if I have ever actually taken a brand new pair of wheels out of a box and ridden them.
Yeah.
I don't think that I ever have.
Yeah.
I don't think that I have ever taken brand new wheels out of a box and ridden them.
Just the blems.
Or I just take them off the production line
Yeah. That's
true.
Maybe one time.
That's just a sick, some fresh press.
Such flex, yeah, fresh press.
Maybe once my scooter got stolen in Paris at the Dissidents after party in like 2014 or 15.
Damn.
And I built a whole new scooter at Dissidents, and I got Proto wheels from Dissidents while I was there and put them on. That's probably the only time I've taken Proto wheels out of a box and put them on, now that I think about it. I'm assuming they were. I'm just assuming they were in a box. They might not have even been a box. No, they didn't.
Okay.
It was. I mean, I was thankful that they hooked me up for free, but
I mean, you made them.
They gave me the whole scooter.
Oh, okay.
It was a whole scooter. It was a whole scooter, and I still have that scooter in the museum.
That's awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
As soon as I got home, I retired it.
Yeah.
I can't really rightly continue riding. It was like a TSI deck and LeBaron bars and a Urban Art fork. It had Proto SCS, Elmer Ferreira's wheels. The deck was Travis House Sig TSI.
Shit.
And I think Heligrip and Ethic grips and an Ethic headset.
Grip.
So it was like all over the place. I mean, like brands that I supported.
Yeah.
But not a scooter that I was going to continue riding.
Yeah.
So it's a museum piece
Memory.
now.
Yeah.
It's the placeholder for a very extremely custom prototype that disappeared and has never been seen again.
Damn.
Yeah. It was like the first scooter that had the threaded TDI neck.
Did they steal it from the warehouse?
It was the after party. I think 20 or 30 scooters got stolen that night.
Oh,
Yeah, like people just went. Everybody was partying, and scooters were just like leaving. Just
that's fucked.
And I like did a pretty good job to like try and hide it. I wanted to put it in their office, but they were like, the office cannot be opened. I'm like, okay, fine. So I like tried to hide it, but they found it.
Damn,
dude.
It was gnarly.
Yeah, fuck y'all. Never did that.
If anybody in France finds a really crazy proto scooter that's very incompatible with a lot of stuff, let me know.
Yeah, yeah. Shit.
I think that one had 10 mil axles and big bearings on it too.
Damn.
That's
Don't
like find it.
Yeah.
It's like the in-between size between 12 standard and 8 millimeter. We were doing 10 for a little while. We did 8, 10, 12, but it's just a compatibility nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're the only one doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you want to wrap it up? Put a bow on it?
Yeah. What do we say in closing?
If you made it this far, TenFour, never stop creating.
Fuck yeah. Rad Proto. Episode 40 something.
Took me like 20 minutes to read that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was
Never
like,
stop
what
creating.
the fuck is on his hand?
It's my
That's
constant
hard.
reminder. I like it.
Never stop creating.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Can you zoom in on
Alien
that?
tech. Alien
You
tech.
can try and post. It's going to be blurry, though.
Yeah. I may have to get up there. Show it to him.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it didn't
Hell
drag
yeah.
on too much. Hopefully you guys found it informative. So much. Only scratched the surface, really. So
Yeah. We'll do some more eventually, for sure. There's like,
Yeah.
this is one I would do again, for sure.
Absolutely.
if you guys want to know more about stuff that we didn't go into depth on or stuff we didn't even talk about at all, just, I don't know, comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll save it for the next one.
Put a list together next time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, little sneak peek. We just wing these. So
This is just a teaser.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just a
yeah,
teaser.
yeah. This is just a
Subscribe
phone
to
call,
our
basically.
Patreon.
Yeah,
We're actually going to go for 4 more hours.
yeah. Just a quick piss break for sure.